So the next question is an interesting one. Something you and I have debated a lot.
Yeah, I'm interested in your take. I'll read the question. I was hoping to get Dan's perspective
Yeah.
on this too. I'll read the question, then I'll say that.
Like, look at Dan to ask it in an upcoming episode is worth it because
Yeah,
he's experienced on both sides of it.
yeah, he's done it. Yeah. So the question is from Rob from Boomer and Echo, who's been a guest on this podcast twice.
Friend of the
Rob
firm.
asks, "What's that?"
Friend of the firm.
Yeah,
Friend of ours.
yeah. Rob's a great guy. Rob asks, "Why don't you offer advice-only planning for the DIY investor crowd?" Which is a question that we get a lot. Now, I was hoping that Dan would be able to answer this. He was supposed to be on this recording, but because we ended up getting doubled up, he wasn't able to make this one. But like you said, Cameron, we'll kick this forward and ask Dan to give us his thoughts in a future episode. But Dan and Justin, for a period of time, did have a fee-only offering for DIY investors, where the DIY investor would come in, they would get set up with a portfolio, like handheld through setting up the portfolio. They would get a financial planning projection. I don't know what else exactly, but it was a fixed rate. It wasn't cheap, but it wasn't insanely expensive. And so people would come in, pay that fee, and then they'd be sent on their way to be DIY investors. And I think there was something involving charity. They were donating the proceeds to, or a portion.
Some of the proceeds I think went to CAMH, I believe.
Yeah, so something like that.
Yeah.
But it was a really neat offering, and it was massively oversubscribed. They couldn't service it, and so
They
they
even
eventually
did videos like how to trade, how to buy ETFs on all the different platforms, how to do the Norbert's Gambit. They did videos on, and it was, and at the time, many people here and in the industry thought they were, and they heard this too, thought they were nuts. Like, what are you doing all this for free? And it turned out, from what I recall, and I look forward to getting Dan's insights, but it was like once people realized what went into doing the kind of work they were doing, they're like, can you just do it all for me?
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, so it would be cool to hear Dan's take on. Oh, so they stopped offering it. That's the interesting piece, is that they offered this thing for a period of time, and then for reasons that we'd have to ask Dan about, they stopped offering it. Yeah, I don't know. What are your thoughts, Cameron? Because like you said, you and I have debated this topic for years.
Yeah, and we get a lot of people reaching out for sure, and there's great fee-only advisors like Rob. And if you can do the trades on your own and do the implementation and all the follow-up things,
you being the DIY investor,
it's a phenomenal platform. You save, like we've said many times, if you don't need us, why would you pay us? That doesn't make any sense. The biggest beef I have with the industry is that it's all usually bundled in one MER, and you're not really clear on who's getting paid what. Now, I know there's better disclosure coming, but I still think a lot of people don't look into that, right? So they think the planning is free, right? Our reality is that we have lots of people reaching out to us who are looking for help with the plan and the implementation, right? There's so much demand for that we're staying in our lane to do that. Now, if we had excess capacity on the team, you can make an argument, I think, to maybe offer that on the side, but we don't currently have excess capacity.
It's not just that though. We don't have excess capacity, and because there is so much demand, if we went and hired somebody for us to fill them up with something other than our core business, it wouldn't make sense for us to do. It makes sense for somebody else to do if that's their business, but that's not our core competency. It's not what we've built all of our processes and systems around.
And there's so much back and forth work in planning and implementation. And it's not just, make the trades, do the buys and set and forget. There's so much follow-up and tax installments, and I'm buying a house. I need a wire made. I got to do a TFSA contribution on my RSP or my RIF payments. There's so much money in motion that goes along with the planning process that we're staying in that lane for now, for sure.
Yeah, but we do talk about it because we there's a lot of demand for that too from us.
Yep.
But there's a lot of demand for our core AUM-based business as well. And yeah, if I don't know what would cause us to move into the fee-only lane, but it's something we do discuss.
Let me ask the next one, then you can answer it. How's that? Since I got nothing on this one. As financial analysts, you spend a lot of your time in Excel. Hit us with your favorite or weirdest Excel trick. I promise nothing is too nerdy. DefPotec.
So I really don't know how weird or unique this is because I do spend a lot of time in Excel, but I'm not like a student of Excel. I would get smoked in an Excel competition. I do know how to use Visual Basic to like for coding in Excel. So I'll say one of my favorite things, and if maybe people say, "Oh, that's boring," Ben, everyone knows that. I have no idea. So you can use a couple of functions, norm.inv, and then bracket, and then you can use the rand function to generate a random number, and then you input the mean of your distribution and the standard deviation of your distribution. That little function or that pair of functions will output a random number from the distribution defined by the mean and standard deviation that you put in there. Now, why is that cool? You can use that to create a time series, a simulated time series of returns, randomized returns that are normally distributed around your defined distribution. So if you have your mean and standard deviation for whatever, 100% stock portfolio or a 60/40 stock portfolio, and you want to simulate different outcomes for that portfolio in Excel without doing any crazy coding or anything, you can do that. So that's pretty cool on its own. But then you can write really simple Visual Basic code. Like I've been using the same Visual Basic function that I wrote, I don't even know, 6 years ago, 7 years ago, and I just reuse it whenever I want to do this. But you can use that to print the outputs. So the thing I just described, you create this time series of simulated returns. You press, I think, F9 to refresh Excel, and it'll give you a new output for your simulation. But if you want to record those outputs, you need to use some Visual Basic. So, but then once that's set up, you can run this thing for however many you specify. So if you want to do like 100 simulations or 1,000 simulations, you can do that, and it's pretty easy. But it's cool because you can do like any time series model of like, I don't know, retirement spending or paying off a mortgage, like anything, and you can simulate different outcomes and then record them to find the distribution of outcomes for the thing you're trying to model. So it's pretty simple. Like it's the one function in the cell to generate the time series, and then it's a very basic function in Visual Basic, and you can run this kind of simple Monte Carlo. Now I've used that less and less since Braden's been around because he does stuff in Python that's way faster and way cooler and just better all around. But it is nice to be able to run a quick little simulation or a quick little Monte Carlo just to test something out, test out an idea. So people tell me, like, I hope people tell me if is that interesting? Is it boring? Is it nerdy? Is it not? Is it embarrassing? I don't know. What's your?
I got nothing. I'm just proud of myself for spending considerable amount of time in ChatGPT and another AI tool that we've been using here. I know it's not Excel, but I'm really starting to build that habit.
ChatGPT is horrifying. I use it every day also, but it's I don't know, man. The amount of times I catch it being wrong about stuff is absolutely terrifying. Because I'll catch it being wrong about stuff that I know really, really well, and I'll be wrong in some little detail, and I'll be like, oh, like I think it's actually this, and oh, I'm so sorry, you're right, it is that. It's like, man, but I think all the stuff that I ask it about that I don't know really, really well,
Right.
I just have a lot of trouble trusting it. So what I find it's most useful for is pointing me in the direction of what I should be reading more about. But I'm very hesitant to trust its outputs.
Yeah, I'm using it less technical stuff. It's more for getting my head in the right space for an upcoming meeting, things like that, or synthesizing notes on like culture books. Like for example, this morning I took my favorite 12 books on leadership, culture, storytelling, and got it to summarize each book. Then I said, take all of this and make it into kind of a super easy to read guide. It did a great job. And then I put it into the other agent we have from Admired Leadership to make it into a user-friendly based on their models of leadership. And it was phenomenal. So, but technical stuff, I'll take your word for it. I'm not doing technical type work like that.
Yeah. I still use it a lot though. It's I don't know, it's a new technology, I guess. It was hard to kind of think about where it fits into being useful it is useful. But it's also very strange.
Yeah.